Hello, everybody. Good morning. Good morning. Welcome back to the J Lounge. Of course, you guys know I am your hostess with the mostest, aka Miss Simone Jackson, here to bring you guys another great episode of the J Lounge. Of course, you guys know this J Lounge is a celebrity-based podcast show where we talk with actors, entertainers, directors, singers, you name it. They all come down here and they all have a wonderful time. As always, I'm always excited to be introducing my next guest. They are a post-production supervisor on King Cole, which had its premiere at Sundance. They're also they also are a film producer, and they're here to talk about their work. And I can't wait for you guys to get to know about their work. So, everyone, please give a warm welcome to Jean Lane. Hi, Jean.
Hi,
How
so
are
nice to be here.
you?
I'm great. So nice to be here. Thanks for asking.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, I'm honored to have you on here. I appreciate you having you on here, and yeah, I really can't wait for my audience to really get to know about you and your work.
Well, I'm happy to be here.
Absolutely, absolutely. Well, Gene, I'm gonna go ahead and fire the first question at you. What began your passion for producing films?
It's been a long road because I feel like I've done almost every job in the entertainment industry from pre-production to production, and now I've been in post for a couple of decades now. Um, I think that it probably started with just like humble beginnings where I started working for a commercial editorial company back in the day. That's kind of how I got started in post. I was producing for commercial editors, and it was the first time I realized like, oh, this is a very necessary role. Somebody has
Hmm.
to produce for folks because creatives are, their time is meant to be focused on the creative, and you've got to have that person who supports the creative to make things happen, whether it's
Hmm.
staying on schedule, staying on budget, move forward momentum, making sure all the right players are in place. And so it probably began there and it just evolved, eventually I went on to working at a post facility, Goldcrest Post, and then I went freelance back in 2014, and I've been a freelance post supervisor since then. And basically, post supervising, even though the title is post supervisor, we are producers.
Hmm.
I actually recently joined the Producers Guild, and we are producers, and our function is to produce post. And I'm thrilled to be doing it. I've been doing it for a while, and I still am so excited for post, and I learn something new almost daily. So
Yes, I love that. I love learn something new every day, and I like how you emphasize. Yes, there's post production and producers in that, but you are still producers. You know,
yes,
still doing
yes.
producing work. So I love the emphasis on that because that is so true. You're still producers at the end of the day.
Yes.
All right, going on to the next one. Name three people who influenced your career and why.
Well, I think it, before I even had a career, I was attending San Francisco State University in California, and my mentor was the dean of the School of Creative Arts, which is where I was majoring in TV and film, and that happened to be August Coppola, and August Coppola was Francis Ford Coppola's brother,
Oh my goodness! Oh
and
my
Nick
gosh!
and Nicolas Cage's father,
Oh,
and
oh my goodness!
yeah, and he became my mentor. I kind of mustered up the courage to march into his office and said, I would love an internship. I want to learn everything I can from you. And, this is what I want to do with my life. At the time, I wanted to be a casting director. And he took me on as an intern in the office, and I just did every odd job possible. And, he became my mentor in my career and introduced me to Francis and Francis's producer, and kind of the rest is history. He really shaped my life and my view towards the entertainment industry and what how I want that to look, what I want to do with my life, how I want to present myself in life. He was he was really extremely influential and instrumental in my early days. And then when I went into Post, as I had mentioned, I was working at Goldcrest Post, and the managing director there at the time was Tim Spitzer. And Tim really became kind of my work mentor. And he taught me so much in the technical realm. And I would say I would definitely attribute a huge base of my technical knowledge to Tim, because he had great patience with all of us at Goldcrest, and was always willing to teach us, and always willing to sit down and answer our questions. And I'm grateful to him for that, because I use some of that technical knowledge on a daily basis. And then I would say I don't necessarily have a third. I would just say the multiple talented directors and producers I've had the fortune of working with, because the really amazing folks I've had the pleasure of working with have always taught me and influenced me in some way or another, whether it was just kind of observing them and how they operate on a day-to-day basis and how they are with people and their crew, or just, sitting back and observing their creative brain and being, influenced by, their creativity and how I can help them. How can I collaborate with them? How can I support their vision? And that has been, incredibly influential on me.
That is amazing. And wow, what a mentor. Can you ask for a better mentor?
Yeah. I was lucky, but I sought him out. So I really kind
Which
of like,
I
when I
highly
was
admire.
I was, yes, a youngin in school, and I just was like, oh wow, here's a golden opportunity. I'm going for it. I'm going into that office, and I'm going to see what I can grab from this.
Oh wow. I love how you use youngin when I was a young.
Yes, that was back in
I
the
haven't
day.
heard anyone say that in a minute. I love it. Oh, I love it. Takes me back to the good old days when I was just a youngin, you know. But yeah, no, I really admire you going out and seeking him out. That is
Yeah,
great, because that is
yeah,
something that most won't do. I love how you have the courage to do it. And look where you are now. That is amazing. This is what happens when you take a chance, when you take an opportunity,
yes,
or when you demand for it. So I think that's
yeah.
awesome. Absolutely.
Thank you.
All right, going on to the next question. Going on to number three, what stories are you interested in helping bringing to the forefront?
Oh, well, I mean, as a person of color, I would, of course, love to continue to, make sure that there's opportunities for women and people of color, of course, in Post, absolutely. But I, I really do try to seek out projects with people whose work I admire. I mean, of course, that's that's your bucket
Right.
list, of course. But when opportunities come my way, I try to steer my projects towards those who I admire. Um, I, just to speak of like just projects that I've seen recently that I just am blown away by, as many people as are blown away by Everything Everywhere.
Mm-hmm.
My gosh, that was hands down my favorite film of last year. And that is just proof right there that there are audiences for that kind of film. And it's not a film that's, about like, oh, let's make this story Asian or Asian American influence. It is a story that is peopled by, right? Asian Americans and Asians, and they're part of the story. It's not a conscious like let's make this It is a people of color story. It's just an amazing
Right.
story.
Yeah.
It's an amazing story, right? That's universal about a mother and a daughter. And then like the creativity surrounding that core story is, I mean, I don't have words. It's mind blowing in every aspect of that film. And then it's also the behind the scenes folks, right? That they
Hmm.
grabbed from, whether it's the costume designer, obviously the co-director, they're Asian American. I'm just blown away by that film. And that's something that I would be like, oh my gosh, I would relish the opportunity to work with people like that. And then
Oh,
there's and
absolutely.
then there's television, like, that is kind of more conscious and more an advocacy for immigrant stories, like I believe it's on, ooh, I'm sorry if I can't remember if it's on Apple TV or HBO, but it's called Little America. And
Ah,
it's a series that's executive produced by Camille Nanjiani, and it is focused on immigrant stories. So they're based on true stories, and they basically take a true story and weave a beautiful, narrative out of it. And some are funny and some are sad and all of the in between. And that I love. And again, would relish the opportunity to work on things like that. So that's the kind of stuff that resonates with me and that I, hope and wish to be a part of.
absolutely. Absolutely. I agree with that. And I do believe that Little America is on Apple TV.
Mm, yes.
I think I was able to catch an episode or two. Definitely a beautiful series. I'm glad they have a series like that because when it comes to, a lot of stories, there's still a lot of immigrant stories that are still being pushed to the background. So I'm
Yeah,
glad that, something like Little America is pushing them forward and, giving them the spotlight they need for sure.
absolutely. Yes. It's
Hmm.
very
And
well done, very
I
well
know,
produced.
yes, I know. I love a little series too. It's so beautiful. And I love the title, Little America, because
Yeah.
it means it's two words, but those two words make a really big impact when you watch the series and see what the series is
Yes.
about.
Yes.
Um, so
And
that's
it's
what
not,
really was.
and it, like, I hope that it gets more viewers. I
Hmm.
feel like it's a little bit under the radar, and I'm glad to be speaking of it here because, I think more people should watch it. Give it a chance. And maybe I mean, I think that there's a group of people that don't even know it exists. So
Exactly.
I'm glad to spotlight it.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Going on to the next question, you are the post-production manager for King Cole. Can
Hmm.
you tell the J Lounge audience about the film and your experience in working on the film?
Yes, yes, King Cole. So, basically King Cole is a hybrid documentary. And it's highlighting the cultural roots of coal, the rituals of the daily life of Appalachians who, coal is their life, is their
Hmm.
world. Um, but we're in a new dawn and age where the economic power of coal is waning. And so the director Elaine McMillan Sheldon made this really beautiful tapestry of, you know, uh, a documentary showing the daily life of folks in Appalachia and how coal is part of their daily life. But she wove it with this really beautiful kind of. She did it as a narrative uh, uh, structure too, where she filmed a young girl who portrays, you know,
Hmm.
could be kind of an autobiographical portrayal of Elaine herself, who is a coal miner's daughter, and it just follows her as kind of the let's call it the protagonist who's woven throughout the story. So it's a very unlikely and unusual documentary, in that it's very contemplative and has really beautiful music and shows some really interesting traditions. And I think that, people who don't live in that part of the world can really witness, like, oh, okay, that is how coal is a part of their lives.
Hmm.
A lot of us, because of climate change, we vilify coal and its role in the world, but there are people whose it's their life and their tradition and their livelihood. And so it's really a documentary that's trying to show the world that it's complicated and it's layered, and there's a beautiful tradition and story there for the people who live in that part of the world, and how, there's a lot of conflict, because people, of course, want to make the world a better place, but this is also, what their parents, their grandparents, their great grandparents, it was their livelihood. And so I really appreciate kind of this very layered, beautiful hybrid documentary that I was fortunate to be a part of. I post-supervised it, and we delivered it to Sundance. It had its premiere at Sundance. I've worked with Elaine before. That's how it came to me. Elaine and I worked on her debut feature for Netflix titled Recovery Boys, and that was a film based about, at the time we were in the incredible and horrible times of like the opioid crisis. I mean, we still of course are in it, but now there's some accountability, of course, with like,
Right.
But I think at the time, Elaine came to me because Netflix recommended me. I'm fortunate to work with Netflix often, and so we worked on her debut feature, and lo and behold, after that feature, she was working on some other projects, and then she was working on King Cole for a really long time, and she and I became friends, and we stayed in touch, and when she got the backing for it and got into Sundance, more importantly, she came to me and she's like, Jean, I need your help. I want you to be on board this. And I didn't even have to think about it, because I adore Elaine. I think she's an incredibly talented director, and I was more than happy to work with her again. And luckily she reached out to me when I had availability, because I'm lucky that I get booked way in advance, and there was a window there that I was able to give her to deliver this film to Sundance. So I was happy about that.
Oh, that is amazing. And that is actually a really different perspective on coal that I haven't heard before. There are, as you said, Appalachian people who use it. It's their livelihood. So I definitely highly encourage people to see King Cole, just to see a different perspective on it. Because as you said, some people look at it and go, well, we want to save, the earth, preserve the planet. And it's, but there's other parts to it, as you just said, it's complex. It's complex.
Yes.
It's not as simple as, it's not as black and white as we think it is.
Absolutely. And that's always the beauty of documentary is to not just, of course, you want to learn something, but it's really to just shed a different perspective. It's nice to see that. It's nice to kind of like, show an audience like there's a different perspective here to consider.
Yes, absolutely. Absolutely. And that's definitely something I never thought of before. So I'm glad you were able to speak up and say that. And yeah, definitely that's a different perspective I never thought about. So yeah, absolutely. All right, going on to the next question. Jean, I want to make sure my audience follows you and your work. Where are you on social media?
I admit that I'm not like, I can be a very private person. So I'm not like wildly on social media, but I do have an Instagram account. I got to look at it because I don't even know my handle off the top of my head. I'm going to open it up here and I'm going to tell your audience.
I love it. I don't even know my own handle.
It is, my Instagram is NYC Post Supers with an S at the end, 2023. So NYC Post Supers 2023 on Instagram, and you can see my work there.
And of course, I highly encourage my audience, make sure you go do so. Follow Jean Lane and all on Instagram and check out more of her work, because we definitely want to see more of her work.
Yeah.
All right. Going on to the next question. What future projects are you involved with that you can dish about to the J Lounge audience?
Well, I'm currently working on a documentary for HBO with a very talented filmmaker named Amy Schatz. She has done many documentaries for HBO, kind of focusing on the young audience. This particular film, which is actually untitled at this moment because she and HBO are still settling on a title, but it is centering on a Philadelphia public high school where the program is focused on creating music not necessarily for people who are musicians. It's actually more for people who want to express themselves through music, and how can they learn to do that? So there's this amazing program in this Philadelphia high school where they teach students, like, okay, how do you want to express yourself? Writing the music, producing the music, presenting the music. And this particular documentary is focused on the class of students that came through the pandemic, and how for many of them, writing the music and creating it kind of saved their lives, because they were trapped in their homes under very, very difficult circumstances, many of them in underserved communities, and how they could express themselves and express themselves with the pain of dealing with the pandemic and the lockdown. And it's really beautiful. And she really captures some amazing music. And what's amazing is that some of these kids, like I said, have no experience with music, and they produce some awesome tunes. Like I would listen to it like on the radio, and it's a beautiful film. You really you go on this journey with them of like going from like knowing nothing to producing music. And I can't wait for everybody to see it. It's not going to be until later this year. I don't know the exact date on HBO, but that's what we're working on right now. It's still being edited. And then very recently, this is brand new news. I'm not even sure if I'm supposed to say, but there's a filmmaker I adore and I've worked with, named Kirsten Johnson. I did a documentary on Netflix called Dick Johnson is Dead with Kirsten. And, since then she's been trying to launch, actually a narrative film. And so there is a film, that she is brand new news that she's working on about Susan Sontag. That is it's going to be a hybrid. It's really a narrative film starring Kristen Stewart, but there's going to be some very interesting archival footage on Susan Sontag interwoven. So I'm very, very, very excited about that. That's like a scoop for you, because
thank you.
it just was like announced on, I don't know, in the trades, just like literally a couple of days ago. So.
Oh wow, that is big. That is big.
Yeah.
That is amazing. That is really two huge projects. I'm super excited for you. I'm happy to see the one about the documentary that hopefully will be coming out later this year. Definitely keep us posted on that when you can.
I will.
And of course, keep us posted on your latest project. That's all huge. That's all really, really huge.
Yeah.
I love that. All right, going on to the next question. What goals do you hope to accomplish in your career that you haven't yet?
Oh, I think that, I want to continue to do what I do. I love it. I want to continue to strive to work with filmmakers and showrunners who are doing amazing work. And, I just continue down the path that I have been, which is, a mixture of the fortune of people coming to me, based on, my credits, but also me seeking out people to work with. So I want to continue with the post supervising. I think that there's a world where I see myself producing, a film. I don't have a project in mind. I think that the opportunity will strike with probably a person I will want to work with, who maybe will bring me into the fold of something. But yeah, I would love to be a part of, like, kind of our traditional sense of what a producer is, not just on the post producing, but like creative producing. And something will come up in the future. I don't know what, but something.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. Just a matter of time.
Yeah.
Just a matter of time. All right. Going on to the next question. What passions do you have outside of producing films?
Oh, I'm one of those people that like loves to like learn something new all the time. Like, in the past, I've learned how to swing dance. When I was in college, I learned how to fence. I'm just random things like that. And now I'm currently learning how to do wheel pottery. So I'm learning how to throw pottery. Brand new at it, never had any experience with it. And I'm really enjoying learning how to throw pottery. It's so just there's just I don't know, something will pop up randomly and I'm like, I want to learn how to do that, and then I just do it.
I love it though. I love that type of go-getting attitude though. I want to learn something new, so I'm just gonna go ahead and learn it. Why
Yeah,
not?
you gotta have something that's like, I think, very different from what you do in your work, in your career. I think it's not only freeing to your being, but it's fun, and it somehow weirdly circles back to your work, and I kind of revitalizes your work. You've just done something different on your off hours, and I think that's important to do.
Absolutely. Absolutely. All right there, Jean. Going on to the last question. What's been some of the most rewarding moments of your career?
I think, I definitely had an amazing experience with Kirsten Johnson when we were at Sundance, with Dick Johnson Is Dead, not just premiering the film there, but the Q&As afterwards were really fun. Uh, Kirsten was so generous in bringing me up on stage and helping answer some questions that the audience had. I really enjoyed that. That was so rewarding to be recognized for my work and to share it with the audience. And on the flip side, I think, I try to be a mentor for young folks who are trying to break into the business and
Hmm.
enter the business. And so, programs like Made in New York here in New York, it's an amazing post training program. I try to be available to, some of when they ask me, I'll try to be available to answer questions and mentor folks through that. Or, other opportunities that people present to me to be on a panel. I just really want to um, answer questions about posts. It's just a field that's kind of a little, people don't know about it, and have lots of questions about it, don't know about all the myriad of jobs available in posts. And so I really enjoy trying to, spread the word about it. And it's always rewarding to me when someone I've helped along the way, whether it's just in a small way, answering questions or whatever, and they come back to me like a year later and they'll tell me what they're doing, and that, they've done a film, or they're now on a series, or they're well on their way to being an assistant editor. Like, I really enjoy that, and I really find that rewarding. I like helping people.
Absolutely. I mean, there's no bigger or better impact when someone said, when you hear stuff like that, there's really no bigger and better impact. And for the film industry, you could always use mentors, guides, all of that, you know.
Yeah,
So
yeah, it's
I think
important, and
it
it's important
is.
to pay it forward. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And absolutely. And I love the fact that you are paying it forward and you are wanting to, reach a hand out and be that guy. And I think that's awesome. And it's
Thank you.
definitely good. So I appreciate you for doing that for sure. For sure. Oh, but Jean, you have been such a pleasure to be able to speak to this morning. I really appreciate you giving me your time and be able to speak to my audience about you, your work. I really enjoy our conversation today.
Oh, well, thank you. It's my pleasure to be on J Lounge. Thank you for asking.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. And of course, I want to highly encourage my audience one more time. Make sure you follow Jean Lane on Instagram. Make sure you follow her work, support her work. We want to see more of it. And yeah, we'll definitely keep you updated more on the upcoming projects that Jean has for sure. Absolutely. But I do want to thank everyone for listening in this morning. Of course, you guys know I am your hostess with the mostest, Miss J, aka Miss Simone Jackson, bringing you guys another wonderful episode of the J Lounge. Of course, you guys, I know I will always be back with another great episode here soon. But I want to thank everyone for listening. I want to thank my amazing guest, Jean Lane, one more time. And I hope everyone enjoys their morning. And I'll be back soon. Bye.